What's going on, people? Welcome to United View and welcome to another jam-packed show for you guys, the latest Manchester United talk with you guys. I'm joined by the first time on United View. We've been trying to get this done for a while, but she's too busy. She's too busy. Melissa Reddy, senior.
DJ. That's why we couldn't do it.
That's true, actually. On tour, we tried to make it happen, but I was busy. You was busy. But you're more busier in this space than I am. But Melissa, thanks for coming on. How are you?
Good. Very weird without Premier League games to keep me busy, but just trying to work on some long-form content and documentaries and stuff that you guys can enjoy soon. So, yeah.
Okay, a lot coming from the Melissa Reddy stables. We're looking forward to that. Of course, we're going to talk all Manchester United and some other things as well. But let's start with my beloved Manchester United. I want to talk Erik Ten Hag, first of all, off the bat. I wanted to get your thoughts on how you've seen him arrive there, how he's been received. You spend a lot of time around the camp. I did so as well on tour, and we got a good insight, and you even further, sitting down with some individuals for some one-on-one time. How have you assessed his early sort of tenure, and how do you think he's been received by the players and staff there at United?
So before he came in, Erik Ten Hag's always been known as an exceptional tactician. Brilliant on the training pitches, great at developing players, tactically so fluid. And we saw what his Ajax teams did, especially in Europe. So on that front, I don't think there was any doubt whatsoever about his capabilities. But at Bayern Munich and at Ajax specifically, there was very strong structures in place, an identity to follow. Behind the scenes, the operations were steely, smooth, consistent. Recruitment, the profile of player was very, very set in concrete in terms of age, technical ability, character, all of those things. And he was going to leave that environment to walk into a club that we know has struggled with the behind the scenes element, but also on the football side of things, did not have an identity. It's always been chop and change with every new manager that's come in, no consistency in recruitment approach. So I did fear for him a little, in a sense of it's difficult to put everything on one man, to like pin all your hopes, your dreams, your blueprints on what he can do. And yet he completely blew me away because he walked into this gigantic club, one of the absolute biggest in the world, and established his authority from the get-go. And yeah, one of the things people at Ajax who'd worked with him had said, yeah, Ajax are a historic club and a big club, but not in a global sense. You know, Ajax become topical or interesting when they're playing big European teams and playing well in the Champions League. But other than that, they can get by with not much interest. And he was now walking into this, behemoth, which commands a global sort of attention that I think, from seeing it from now a broadcast perspective and a print perspective, is only really rivaled by Real Madrid, not even Barcelona to that extent. And yet he walked in and it was like, right, this is now my home, this is my way, this is the culture we will now aspire to, these are the rules, and that's just it. So hugely impressed by that. The players immediately, I remember doing a piece, and if people want to go back, you can read it on Sky, and it was inside his first week of training. So this is obviously before the Cristiano Ronaldo situation arises and all of that. But it was how players were reacting to his coaching drills, to the new discipline in place, to him as the figure of authority. And then that only intensified when we went on tour. And I felt like the absence of Cristiano Ronaldo could really destabilize the preseason tour, because you're always going to get asked
I felt
about
the
it.
same. I felt the
Yeah.
same. Yeah, 100%.
But another credit to him, huge credit, was Ronaldo wasn't really a story, he was in the background. He was just noise. The focus was on how well the players were responding to training, how they were carrying out his instructions in game. So translating what they were learning on the training pitches to match situations. Just the improvement around the feeling of the club, how the staff were, how the players were, psychological shifts. And I think, like, from first impressions, and it's still the early stages, but everything he's done has been quite positive. And I think the negatives that have happened have been largely out of his control, bar the tactical decisions in Brighton and Brentford.
Yeah, and that was kind of like a learning curve for him. And even then, if you look at the next game after that, which happened to be Liverpool, which was a massive game, he rung in the changes. He said it was almost like he went, I am not going to go down this road with you guys. I've seen what's happened here before. I'm going to stick to my guns. And, on a personal, I like that he's come in and been so stern, come in and been to his principles. On tour was fascinating because we were having a lot of fun around the players and it was great. But it was almost like the head teacher or your parent was coming by when he came past. I don't know if you felt that, like me and some of the guys at United View, me and KG, you saw us on tour. We're happy, we're bubbly, we're having a laugh with the players. Then we're like, oh, Eric's here. Hold on, just wait a sec. Then you can kind of get back to it. And I feel like he's carried that through, and the players are responding to that.
Yeah, he is definitely in charge. And even down to the little details, like who's doing media duties and stuff, he's across that. So
yeah, he was shutting it down on tour.
Yeah, I remember there were times like certain players would come out and you'd be like, oh, a few words, and they're like, nope, it's not my turn to talk today. I can't do it. The gaffer says no. So in terms of all those things, I get to watch a lot of training sessions, even, for a few minutes, some of the closed ones for broadcast purposes. And he'll be out there measuring the exact distances between the cones to put it down there. He's very dedicated to his craft. And actually, I remember a quote from Steve McLaren saying, McLaren thought he worked hard until he met Ten Hag. And, sometimes when you share details like this, you get people getting sniffy, like, always when a new manager comes in, there's all these things they're doing differently. But when you see it being effective and you see it influencing change amongst players and staff, it's important details to share.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from some of the conversations we was having with club staff, that bit you said there about media duties, someone was saying to me that he's so meticulous. Like, if you haven't run it by him, he said, well, this isn't part of the plan. What's gone on here? Like, I need to be aware of this. And, we saw stuff about, the squad was going to go on the set of Neighbours. And he was like, that's not going to help football. Yeah. We're not doing it. And that's the sort of thing that Manchester United have absolutely needed. I wanted to speak about Harry Maguire. And the reason I wanted to speak about Harry Maguire is because I don't know if you noticed it on tour, but we were talking here at the channel when we was on tour, and we was like, it felt like he was kind of just being kept back from stuff. Like, I don't know whether it was a personal decision from Harry or something from the club where there was a strategy there, because there's a lot going on around Harry Maguire. There's a lot of opinions on Harry Maguire. Let's let him fall back. And it was almost like Bruno was the guy. He was everywhere. He was high-fiving him. He would be the one out late signing autographs and stuff like that. And Harry did a little bit of that too. But I just noticed a clear difference, clear contrast between the two. Do you think with where Harry Maguire is now, in terms of he hasn't started in the last 5 games, actually, 4 games, because he started Europa League. He hasn't started the last 4 Premier League games, came on late against Arsenal. Do you think that there is a is there something going on there in terms of his position being under threat, maybe? Or do you think it's just while Ten Hag finds a little bit of a consistency in the team, or how do you see that?
So to start off with, I just want to say on Bruno Fernandes, I think that's just naturally him. He's a leader. He feels so responsible for the club, for standards, for making sure the fans are happy. The amount of time he took on tour to engage with fans, not from club direction, just off his own back. And the way he handles himself and carries himself, I know he annoys opposition fans. But you know what? When you get under the skin of opposition fans, I always say, you've got something about you.
100%.
Yeah, so that was, I think Bruno was just being Bruno. He's actually quite lovely, and he takes his job as a footballer and his role, and he's, the fact that he's got this ability to do something small that will make a big difference to people's lives. He takes that quite seriously. Then on Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire initially received a lot of support. He kept the captain's armband. He kept his position. And I think that was like, we're giving you all the tools to succeed. Now it's up to you. It's your responsibility to steer this moving forward. We've given you what we can give you. And when Ten Hag said Harry will retain the captaincy, he said, I do not know the squad well enough yet to make a decision why change things. So I took that away. That was very instructive to me. The other thing on preseason tour is we're told Raphael Varane was put on a specialized program to help his conditioning, to make sure his stamina is up and he's lasting through training sessions to be fit for matches. And over the course of preseason, that individualized training program was already starting. They could see the benefits of it by how many training sessions he was continuously involved in. And I took that as a realization from United that, this is the best centre back. Yeah, he's one of the world's
Exactly. We need him to play. Yeah.
We have to find a solution for how we get him on the pitch more regularly. And then with the pursuit of Lisandro Martinez and actually Timber as well, I was told at the back of last season that Harry Maguire's the armband was in jeopardy for him, but also his starting position. I remember I got a lot of grief then when he retained the armband and he was starting. And I was like, there's so much to run in this still. So with Martinez, Ten Hag wanted balance. He wanted a left footer, but he also wanted somebody who was very aggressive, very good on the ground, a lot quicker in mind and feet. And I was just thinking it's only a matter of time until we see Varanne Martinez, because a centre back pairing always needs to complement each other. You need to have the strengths of one that the other doesn't have, and to mitigate and all these things, and chemistry and how they communicate with each other. And that individualized program was going to eventually lead us to the position where Varane was completely fit to start games and could partner Martinez. And I think it's what we've seen, and the improvement, the proof is there.
Yeah.
And with Maguire, I think he has to fight for Premier League minutes in, all the other opportunities he gets when there's rotation, if there's injuries and stuff like that. But his form hasn't been great for a while, so it's not this massive shock or, that he is not starting Premier League games regularly. And I think it's hard, like a lot of the things he's been through, I always feel criticism if it's only football specific. If you're saying you're not playing that well, or you're not really great at this element, if it's like tactical or whatever, is fine. But a lot of it strays into personal and horrid abuse and, threatening families, and there's absolutely no place and no space for any of that. And so I think on a human level, he's had to deal with so much, and a lot has been quite unkind to him. So I think he's in a difficult spot, both, in a football sense and in terms of what he's had to deal with personally. And so it's just finding that space to get back to your best. And maybe it's good that he's not under the pressure of starting every week, and can find ways to rebuild himself.
I mean, I know you've spoke to Varane quite a few times, and heard what he's had to say after games, and I've been around him a couple of times, and people know how highly I think of him. Call him the Rolls Royce. That's what he is. He's when he's fit and he's playing, he's top. He really is. And I had to take a bit of grief last year as well, because when we signed him, I said, lovely, that's it. And everyone was saying about the injuries, and lo and behold, the injuries came, and he was unavailable for a lot of last season. And it's good to see him playing now. With Varane, I mean, from the time you've spent with him as well, how good can he be for United, and how important is he for you to stay fit?
I think, crucially, his availability is just core to all the success United want to achieve, because he offers experience, stability, pedigree.
Sorry, just quickly, your face is cut half up. Yeah, there you go.
See, I'm not used to these split screen things. You technologically advanced.
So no, in the Sky, is Sky the director saying middle of the shot, headspace, please? You're used to that.
Yeah, but the camera's just trained on me. It moves when I move.
That's true. Actually, that's true.
So yeah, so keeping him fit, because he just offers you a lot of things that it's why he's considered world class and was one of the very top defenders for such a sustained period of time while at Real Madrid. And I think the combination with Martinez works really well. I think also his personality and character is just really good to have around the team. He is so calm and measured and carries himself with poise. And I think you do need that, especially in situations where games are too open or chaotic, or you need that type of character. Also, another point to make on the Maguire situation, and I'm sure we'll get to Cristiano Ronaldo at some point. When we're saying Ten Hag is very much in charge, I thought, okay, definitely in charge when it comes to training, discipline, all that stuff. And I'd been waiting to see whether he was going to make the huge selection calls. Because that would really say that, there's absolutely no question to his authority here. He's not caring what hierarchy is saying, what commercial is saying, what whoever is saying about the status of players or valuations are. If you take someone out the team, the valuation is going to drop. No, he is making decisions based on pure football and what suits United in a tactical sense. And he did that.
Yeah, I agree. I like the big calls that he's been making, and we'll carry on talking about some of the big calls. And obviously, we've got to get to Cristiano Ronaldo. You can't talk Manchester United without talking about him. Look, this isn't agenda-driven or anything like that, because there's a lot here on the channel, and just in the United fan base, there's some people, listen, he's the greatest ever. He's achieved amazing things at Man United. Stop disrespecting him. Let him get match fit. He'll be fine. He can work in the Ten Hag system, X, Y, Z. When you'd rather like players like Martial who haven't done anything, and Rashford, you get that kind of side of it. Then you get the side of, you can see why Ten Hag doesn't want to play him. It's time to let him go. Should have let him go in the summer. Nobody wanted him. There's a whole mishmash of opinion when it comes to Cristiano Ronaldo, but you can't doubt his career. You can't doubt his standards. You can't doubt his professionalism. On Cristiano Ronaldo, do you see is it a way back? Yeah, I think that I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that because I feel like, me personally, I feel like he's clearly not the number one starter. You know, Martial in his last appearance against Liverpool could only manage 45 minutes, and even he came on over Ronaldo in that game. And since then, Ronaldo still hasn't started until Europa League. Is there a way for Ronaldo to fit in to Ten Hag's vision? That's a better way of putting it. Not is there a way back for him? Is there a way for him to fit into this?
There is only one person who can answer that, and that is Cristiano Ronaldo. He has to be willing to show it. And I think I'd reference this a lot during tour and then after tour when he returned, that I saw that he has got no other alternative but to remain at Manchester United. Because for all the time he was on the market, very publicly so, there was never a firm proposal. Nothing even close. No one even engaged with the club about him. And if Mendes, super agent, man who can pull rabbits out of a hat, couldn't do that, I just kept saying Ronaldo has to find a way to make it work at United. And I think what the coaching staff have tried to express to him is you can contribute heavily without needing to be the main man, without needing to be the goal scorer. A football club and a team is like an orchestra. It's so organic. You can be supportive. You can give encouragement to the younger players. You can help people with their technique. You can come off the bench and run your socks off. When you do start, you can show that even if you're not scoring, you're a team player, you're in the right positions that you're meant to be, not, being a magnet to the ball because you feel like you need to be on the ball because you're Ronaldo. Like, you can be so important to United, maybe not in the way you've always thought or imagined or been throughout your career at clubs, but this is a new stage of your.
Do you think he accepts that? Do you think that sounds like a different language to him? Almost like, what? What do you mean don't start? What do you mean?
You know what?
Europa League.
It would not be normal to struggle with that change if you're used to something else your entire career. Like, we need to be fair here. Think about your own life. Whatever small change or even gradual change or massive change you go through, there's always a period of not being comfortable with it or wrestling with it and stuff. So why should it be any different for him? So I think it is, you can tell, when he's had an opportunity and he scuffs it or balloons it or whatever, like, you can tell how desperate he is to score because that's what he knows. That's how he knows he's offering value. Yeah. And I think it's just that reinforcing of the message and him finally acclimatizing to it. And it's natural to need an adjustment period, that you can be helpful and pivotal and contribute without needing to be the chief goal scorer or, even like making sure the standards you're setting are high in training can influence how your team plays on a match day. Showing off your routine in the gym and stuff like that, your nutrition, sharing that with people, that's also a way to be beneficial. So I think that message will eventually sink in, and the reality of the situation. Obviously, he can't change anything until January. But even then, if you want teams to buy into you now because they didn't buy into you in the summer, you've got to show them that at your age, in a progressive, modern approach, that you can still contribute.
That's true, actually, because if you think they're even less likely to go for you halfway through the season as well. And then it's like, you look at what Bayern Munich said, was it Oliver Kahn was like, fantastic player, not part of our strategy, our project. It's not within our ethos. Dortmund, same thing. Chelsea turned him down, etc., etc. And if he doesn't show that other element, then how does he be attractive anymore?
Yeah, one of the big things that I took immediately from the conversations Mendes was having was I knew that he had ordered. What is the terminology now for it? He'd ordered a No. He'd ordered a deck to be done on Ronaldo. Now, a deck in marketing terms
Yeah.
is just basically like a presentation that features all the important commercial
Selling
numbers.
points.
Yeah,
Sells you, doesn't it? Yeah.
how many shirts did you sell? How you crashed the club shop? How many times they ran out of your shirt? How many sponsors came on board because you came on board? What new territories did you hit? How did your social media audience grow because of
Not
Ronaldo?
how many goals did you get and how many assists did you get.
Okay, see, but that everyone knows how many goals he got and how many assists he got. But people were saying, yeah, but as a collective, United's goals were down. How did he impact Jadon Sancho? Like, remember, the people who organically build football clubs, and at the top level, you're thinking about the player you bring in. How is he affecting all the other players in your team? And Ronaldo may have been the top scorer, but he had a negative impact on a lot of the other players around him. So that's why you had to sell the other elements, which is the massive commercial pull that he gave. And it's no coincidence that actually the team that probably would have bet was Chelsea because of their ownership who wants to do all-star games and stuff. So Cristiano Ronaldo appeals to that. It's a statement for a new ownership that fancies that Americanization of the game.
Yeah, definitely. And you could see it wasn't something that Thomas Tuchel, obviously not there anymore, coincidentally, didn't want any part of. I wonder how much of it played a part in that. I wanted to talk a little bit about some contract situations that Manchester United are going to find themselves in next summer, or maybe even earlier, depending on whether they trigger extensions. The likes of Diogo Dalot, Cristiano Ronaldo is another one, Luke Shaw, Marcus Rashford, Fred. I just want to go on David De Gea first, just really quickly. He's coming to the end of his deal, but there is an option to trigger an extra year. How do you see his future here? Because he's probably the highest paid player at the club, if I'm not incorrect. And his lack of maybe being accomplished with his feet is an issue. We started off trying to play from the back, and for one reason or another, whether it's more De Gea's not very capable or the players aren't used to it, we now go long. So there's obviously an issue there where I asked Ten Hag myself after that Brentford game, do you want us to keep playing out from the back? And he said, not when it's not possible. That was very naive. Since then, we haven't seen it. We've gone long every single time. Do you see Manchester United trying to, again, have an exit strategy? As you know, Eric Ten Hag doesn't care about stature, doesn't care about names. Do you think there's a smooth transition to be had then? Or do you think they look to extend his contract beyond that year?
So there's a few things that come into play. One, what does De Gea actually want to do? Is he after a fresh challenge? He's obviously been quite a good servant for United, often the best player, and the difference between, a few more positions being a few more positions
Lower down.
Yeah. He carries himself really well. He actually does really care about United. So what does a player want? Then you think, okay, it's quite obvious that he doesn't suit the manager's preferred style of play for a goalkeeper. He's never been comfortable off his line. He's never been a sweeper. He's never been somebody that wants to dictate build-up play from the back. He tried during preseason, and he's tried in match situations, and because he's not comfortable with it, it's why you've got reverting to basics, which is best in the scenario. So while that is the case, how easy is it for United to now go and find the right choice for Ten Hag in that regard? What's the price point? What's the availability situation of that player? So all of those kind of things. People always think it's just yes or no for contracts, but a football club has to work out so many kind of knock-on effects? How does it influence the other goalkeepers that you have, or is there somebody from the academy that could progress? All these certain situations, not specifically to De Gea, but to any player. And it's not just, with United, it's any club. Any club has to consider what the player who's in the contract position, what they want to do. Another thing people often tend to overlook is the fact that an extension can often be a way to protect market value.
Absolutely.
Maybe you want to get a fee for a player, and so you extend their contract. Chelsea were excellent at doing that. Sending players out on loan, handing them a new deal, then you sell them on. And Chelsea became the benchmark for outgoings in this country. They made that a little profit pool. Liverpool followed suit. City are getting very good at doing that now as well.
We tried to do it with Pogba, but it didn't work. We did it with Lingard. We've triggered so many and still managed to get to the wrong decision. So it is something that definitely needs to be, because there's a good batch of players there, the ones that I mentioned, and it's like, this is going to be a good test to see if we end up in the same situation we've always ended up in, or whether, like you're saying, a new manager with new ideas, a new belief, a new way of doing things starts thinking about it now. Dean Henderson's going to arrive back at our door. He's on $100,000 a week. There's so much there, Luke Shaw's been here for what, 8 years now? When's he going to arrive? There's so much there.
Yeah. I think when you've made so many bad decisions, recruitment-wise, and it's not that they're bad players, by the way. It's just that there was never, like I said at the start, there was never an identity. So each coach would come in, try and impose their style with their players. It doesn't work, get canned, not the right fit. You bring a manager in who's not the right fit, or past his best, or doesn't have the pedigree at an elite level to rival your Guardiolas and your Klopps and Contes. And then you just end up with a slew of mistakes that you need to fix, right? And sometimes you just have to take a hit and accept, listen,
cut your losses.
Yeah. And a good example of that is Arsenal. You look at how Arsenal shed their squad, corrected their age profile, have a team that, even if Mikel Arteta is not the manager, and if you're looking for another progressive guy to come in, can work with those talents. And you think of the valuations now of some of the players they have. Like, if anyone ever had to come in for Saka, for example, what would he fetch? So sometimes you have to admit to your bad mistakes, let it go, and then course correct and put yourself in a healthier situation. And I think for United, they have gotten in a great manager, a manager who's so clear about his visions and his ideals and the identity. But long term, United have to think beyond Ten Hag. What do they want the football club's identity to look like long term? And so you're already succession planning. You have in mind the profile of player you're signing regardless of who the manager is, because moving forward you're going to play that same style of approach. And behind the scenes, you need to make sure you're getting in the best in the business in every regard, whether it's medical, recruitment, all of those things. That's another process, because results on the pitch improve when results and things off the pitch are advanced. And I think a lot of the good that we're seeing with United at the moment is stemming from the manager and his coaching and stuff. We still need to see behind the scenes a great improvement.
Agreed. And I think this is where, without winning trophies and saying we're back, this is, like you said, it starts within the fabrics of the football club. This is where a statement can be made, because I think if they get this little transition right with some big players, you're talking about Marcus Rashford, you're talking about David De Gea, you're talking about Luke Shaw, Fred's been there a long time. okay, Dallo, I think people will probably say, yeah, we'll give him a new deal now, actually, and then we still need another right back. You're talking about some big players there. Some have been there for a long time. And just on Marcus Rashford, we both saw in the press conferences on tour, you know, he seemed quite happy, he was excited. He's been happy at working with Ten Hag early on. And I definitely put him at one of the top of Eric Ten Hag's list of when he came here, when he sort of looked at Manchester United and said, okay, cool. What have they got there? Okay, right, they've got Ronaldo. How am I going to tackle that? Let's see what's going on there. They've got Marcus Rashford. He's had a poor season, but that's going to be like my little protege. How do I get him playing well? They've got Varane, right? I need to get him on a fitness plan. Need him playing. I feel like there were little subplots that Eric Ten Hag sat down probably and went, I need to fix this, this, and this. And Rashford would have been right up there as one of his priorities to get going. And now he's in a position, there's always these murmurs, little rumors about PSG and maybe his agency or his family who look after him, maybe angling for stuff, and some of it's not true. Sometimes they come out and speak and say, sometimes it's a little bit messy, and Marcus always kind of keeps quiet. How do you see his future shaping up? Do you think he's put the worst behind him, or do you still think he's got a little way to go to prove that the next stage of his career, he's 24, still so young, should be at Manchester United and he can kick on and get to the next level? Because some fans are like, I need to wait and see it. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. I feel like with these kind of questions, the only person who can answer it, and not answer it in terms of words, but in terms of action, is Marcus Rashford. Has he played anywhere close to his potential for a sustained period of time now? No. Is there a lot more that he could give? Yes. Did he get sidetracked or stumble because his injury wasn't correctly diagnosed and there was all that? Yes. You know, there's when players are having issues with their body and their body is not responding the way they want it to, it has a mental impact because you're like, what's wrong? I'm asking you to do this on the pitch and you're just not going to it. So, you know, loss of confidence, a whole lot of things happened. But Ten Hag presents a fresh start for him, especially because the manager wants to play with fluidity in the front line that suits Rashford. I think the stuff with PSG, I know Mbappe is a good friend of Rashford. Mbappe has a lot of sway at the club and would like Rashford there. But I think that's really more a negotiating tactic to get what he wants out of United. And again, the only person who can dictate how his future goes from here is Rashford. I feel like there's still a little bit of second guessing himself in some performances, but then there's other times where like he'll do a move or you'll watch him, you know, in flow on a counter and he'll be like, there you are.
Yeah.
You remember.
Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, muscle memories coming back. So he just needs to get that consistency in. But I think with Ten Hag's coaching, with what he wants out of his offense, with the fact that you're also seeing the best of Jadon Sancho again, I think Martial and Rashford historically have worked really well together. They're nice foils for each other. So I think Anthony demands that all the attackers just improve. He came in and he was like, hi, I'm here. You know, not just the goal.
And I'm Ten Hag's guy as well. So yeah. You know he's going to back me. Yeah.
Yeah, but not just with the goal, with how he was so confident. Like he took to the pitch and he was like, yeah, this is me. I'm going to run at defenders. I'm going to want the ball. I'm going to have fast feet. I'm going to do tricks. I'm going to force things. And I think that naturally just sparks everyone else into thinking, okay, you know, we've got to just lift ourselves as well.
Absolutely. And you need that competition. And I think Eric Ten Hag's brought that in. Last couple of things really quickly. What's a successful year for Eric Ten Hag in his first season for you?
You see, people always want this answer to be in terms of what trophy or what position.
Exactly. Doesn't necessarily have to be that, yeah.
Translate to success. And for me, and I spend a lot of time with managers, understanding their approach, their philosophy, man management styles, and all these things. And I feel like there's a theme with all of them that I've spoken to: Nagelsmann, Klopp, Pochettino, Guardiola, Eddie Howe. No matter where they are in terms of the stage of their career, they always say, as a manager, you know you're doing the right things when, one, you're developing players really well. So you're seeing a marked improvement in how they're playing. You're seeing their confidence levels improve. You're seeing them understand the game better and start to make decisions on the pitch with more authority and credence in themselves. I think success is also just watching United and knowing they could have blank shirts on, but that's United because that's their style of play, that's their identity, that's Ten Hag ball. When you see that they're consistent, so even if they're not winning, the performances are consistent. Because sometimes, they lost that Europa League game with a handball that was never a handball. That's now out of your control. But the performance did not deserve a defeat. They were,
a draw at worst. Yeah.
But so you want to see consistency of performances. Success is also seeing how the team react to different situations. How do you react? Okay, we've seen now how they react when they lose games heavily and are thoroughly embarrassed. Very, very good sign, by the way. But now moving forward, if you go to a big club and you get thrashed, or if you, if there's a major injury while you're playing really well and then the game completely shifts and momentum swings, all these things, this is information, crucial information to build success moving forward. Success is also seeing the players and the fan base build a rapport with each other, really getting that sense of unity, and the sense of everyone's pulling in the same direction to this path to get United back to where it wants to be. So, I never like to say a position, and because you can finish second and things can go to pot. We've
seen that.
It's not only in the sense of United. You've seen it at other clubs. Liverpool 2013-14 is a one-off in that period because there's no sustainability beyond that. It's Suarez, it's Sturridge, it's emotion. It's you can't. One player wanted to leave. One player was injury prone. An aging Steven Gerrard. There's nothing to pin on and say next year and the year after and the year after. So that's why the things I'm offering are stuff that ensures that next year and the year after and the year after, you're building, you're advancing to something. But I think obviously he will want the club to return to the Champions League, and he will want for them to be challenging for trophies, whether that means semi-finals but you have to put yourself in the position. You have to build the blocks to get where you want to be. And all the things in the journey that will be significant are all the things I've mentioned.
Yeah, agreed. A lot of stuff to talk about there, Manchester United wise. And it's good when we get guests from the media come on and stuff like that and talk about our club. But before you go, I did want to sort of speak to you about a little bit just about your journey. I think it's important to talk about, guests as guests and not just, asking them what they think about our club as well. So just a little bit on your journey, because I see some of the things that, women in sport have to go through, people that are not from this country have to go through, women of color, people of color, and just the everyday struggles in journalism as well. They all exist for I've been through it, been through some things. I'm sure you have, and just how you deal with, a lot of the struggles that you may have to deal with. I just wanted to just get a little bit of insight into that. There's silly rumors out there and things like that. I just wanted to just see if you wanted to shed any light and just talk about how you keep going and, you've got yourself into where you are now, because it's been a really long journey to get here.
I'm happy you said it's been a long journey, because I think people who have only seen me for the first time of Sky is like, what's her credentials? Where's she come from all of a sudden? Oh, Sky just giving jobs to anybody. I have worked in football for over a decade, and at the top end of football, in elite football, for over a decade. I reference some of the managers I've spoken to before, and that's not from rights holders access or whatever. That was off me, me talking about the game tactically and stuff, and then approaching managers and saying, hey, here's what I've done. I'd like to speak to you about stuff. And Brendan Rodgers, Maurizio Pochettino, Jurgen Klopp, all of the only interviews actually that have come from Sky that I haven't gotten myself have been Eric Ten Hag, and obviously that's because he just started.
Yeah, of course.
United, and Pep Guardiola. But all the others are based on what I've done throughout my career. And it's a lot of hard work and a lot of rejection and a lot of needing to have a thick skin, because obviously I'm female, I'm off color, I'm foreign, and people hate all of those things. So, people will always say things like, go back to your country. Oh, where's that shit accent from? Oh, you sound horrible. Or like they don't, it's always personal. They hardly ever say, hey, you said this about that, and that's incorrect because tactically, actually, I believe.
I hate that one. That is the worst. Like, if I'm on Sky sometimes, the comments will be, he doesn't represent us. He's not a real Man United fan. Not, I disagree with what he said about Maguire there. That's not actually true. Never that. It's so true. So true.
And actually, I find even when somebody's arguing with you, they haven't even read or understood what you've said. They're arguing a completely different thing. So it's quite tricky to deal with that. And I've always been very good at blocking it out because, you'll have trolls on Twitter and stuff telling you don't know what you're talking about, and their managers messaging you saying, great point you made there. I like how you spoke about process, or I like this, or I like that. You have, people of repute in the game telling you you're doing well, so you can ignore the rest. But sometimes you've just had personal news, or you're going through something, or you're struggling to, deal with your own life. And, my family are on a different continent. My friends are on a different continent. And I think people see, because you're on TV, because you work in football, you get to go to games. They dehumanize you, so they don't actually care what they're saying to you. And that's horrible. You spoke about rumors there. Now, I got married to Sadio Mane in 2019, and I wasn't even invited to my own wedding. And I didn't even know that I was Sudanese, which is, I learned from the internet, the article that said I married him in 2019. I said I was a Sudanese beauty. I was like, geez, the things you learn about yourself on the internet. But that's a really, really annoying one as a female in football, because somebody can take an interview picture and use an interview picture and say you're in a relationship with a player that you have absolutely no romantic dealings with. Never have, never will. That's not my thing at all. And people will just run with it. And there is not a day of my life that goes by on any social media outlet, or even in real life, even at Old Trafford the other day, I had two guys ask me, so is it true you're dating Sadio Mane? And I know people want to use it as a way to discredit me, but it is libel. You can end up in court for saying it. And I would love people to just give me proof. And one of the things that makes me actually laugh is, people on Twitter, when it comes to transfers and stuff, they're so attached to sources. Who's your source? Oh, not a good source. Oh, not tier 1. Oh, not this. Can people please go and look at the websites carrying... it's websites people haven't even heard of before that carry these rumors. And it's the one thing that's really affected me, because it suggests that I'm only where I am because I've been with a footballer. It also just denigrates all women in football, so I don't like it. I don't like it that people can't knock me on other stuff, so will want to use a fake relationship to do so. it's harmful. I was in a relationship for 2 years with someone else who had to see all this stuff all the time and who had to answer questions about it. That's not nice. But yeah, people don't think as well about when they're spewing hate at you. How does my mother feel when she sees you? How, my dad, my uncle had to deactivate off Twitter and stuff just because he couldn't handle reading my mentions.
And that's the shit people don't see, innit? That's
Yeah.
that's
Like
where
I said, people just dehumanize you, and they're like, "Oh, she posts a nice picture of her in studio. We can say anything to her. She must just be able to take it because that's what she signed up for." And actually, that's not what I started journalism for. I am very passionate about my job. I'm very passionate about being fair in what I say. I will never say something for attention or I don't care about numbers and nothing like that. I care about being true to myself, my opinions. The players and managers I've worked with and interviewed and stuff will only ever say nice things because they can tell that I love the game. I love understanding the game. I love understanding the people behind the game and putting out, their views. If ever I write an opinion article on something, I will make sure I speak to people at the club or people who know the player or the player itself or whoever's involved. So I get a proper idea of what's going on, and I'm not just, spewing anything. I take what I do very seriously, and I put a lot of effort into it, and I've sacrificed so much to be here. I've sacrificed, family, relationships, and all that stuff to get to where I am. So yeah, be kinder, people. That would be nice.
It's so important because you think about it like if when you say you post up a picture or something like that, as a man, if say I post a picture just in the Sky Studios, you don't get that same kind of reception like if a woman does it and stuff like that. And you guys have to deal with so much. And I know, and I'm aware of a lot of females who struggle in this space. And then from a guy point of view, as a black person myself, as a guy of color, I know other guys who have similar discriminations and suffer from racism as well. And it's ever present. And when you meet people and I meet quite a few people up close and personal who say things and I don't like you, I hate you, I can't stand you. When you actually dive into these people and try and get a sense of, so why do you hate me then? Why? The answer is basically because Twitter said so, because I just heard it. I don't actually know why. And I think sometimes when you're in your career, you're like, I need to prove something to these people, but these people they've made their minds up. They've literally made their minds up already. And it's like, you know what? That's your issue. But I completely get as well from a female angle as well. It's even more extenuated because it's like daily, hourly, like that constant reminder. So my last thing I wanted to ask you was what would you say, to young girls out there or even older girls who aspire to do what you've done and to kind of follow in a similar footstep, or maybe experiencing what you go through now, or anyone's experiencing any adversity? How would you, encourage them to deal with it?
I give a lot of lectures to students, and I always say to them, I wish I didn't have to use this as a starting point, but you have to be so thick-skinned and you have to be so firm in yourself and who you are, what you believe in, and what you want to do and what you want to achieve, because you will get an avalanche of abuse for no reason other than you want to do your job. And there's nothing at the moment, unfortunately, that we can do to change that. You can't control how other people want to interpret you or perceive you, and you have to really zone in on where you want to get to in this industry. And I think a lot of people, so I've done internships where students will come to me to games and stuff, and I found that some people want to get into it to just, I've gone to a game and I've been to a press box.
Yeah.
And
It's the wrong thing.
that's not it. If you're trying to do it for glamour and all that, trust me, there's very, very little glamour in this job. I know sometimes my Instagram can prove otherwise. That's only a highlights reel. There is so much energy and effort and knowledge. I don't stop buying books. I don't stop reading. I don't stop speaking to people. I always feel like I don't know anything. There's so much more I could know. What happened in sports science? What's new there? Or, what tactical advancement has there been, or what tweak has there been that I've not really had the time to study or know about? Who can I speak to it about? And that is never ending. And if you want to get into this industry, you have to do it because you're passionate about covering football, whether it be broadcast wise or written wise, and you're passionate about putting in the work and the effort to be successful at it. Because, like I said, it's going to come with a lot of sacrifices. A lot of times your social life goes out the window. You don't know
100%.
you don't know what weekends and bank holidays are and stuff.
Yep.
It also is a sacrifice of a lot of your time. You get a lot of abuse, like I said, for it. So if you're going in with the right intentions, can be true to who you are and remain true to who you are, even when there's a mass of people trying to tell you you're somebody different who've never met you, who don't know you, then I think you can succeed. And just, like I said, never stop learning. If you want to write, find a writer who you enjoy. Make sure you are understanding everything, what their tone is, how they are describing things, how they're making you feel like you were at that match that you weren't at actually, but the way they're using the language. And also, I think the industry is shifting so much towards clicks and controversy and stuff. Stay away from all of that. Find your niche. What are you good at? Are you good at tactical elements? Are you good at human elements? Are you good at social elements? Whatever it is, find the best way to do that without needing to feel like you have to be poisonous towards players or managers or anything like that to, get attention and get ahead.
Facts, especially that last bit, especially within new age media, fan content, fan media, which is what we are here. United Views has been going for a year and a bit, and one thing we definitely pride ourselves on is exactly that, trying to find where we fit in and trying not to go down that notoriety, that kind of clickbait, just saying things for the sake of the reaction. And like you say, when you spend time around the players as well and stuff like that, you speak to them, they're not afraid of criticism, or they shouldn't be. I've spoken to quite a few players on a personal that said, listen, I saw when you said X, Y, Z, I saw when you said this, but criticize our performance is fine. Play for Manchester United, it's the biggest club in the world. Like, we understand that. But like you said just there, it gets personal, or you're just having an agenda, or you're just saying things for the sake of saying things. You don't genuinely want somebody to do well. You're asking for trouble. I think there's got to be a balance. And if you're honest with yourself, you shouldn't have to force that through for people to watch you or receive what you say. People will genuinely understand that, you know what, that girl, yeah, she means what she says and says what she knows. He means what he says what he knows, that kind of thing. So no, 100%. Listen, Melissa, it's been a pleasure. It's been great having you on. It's been great talking Man United, but more importantly, it's been great talking life as well, because I think we can all get caught in this football bubble, this content creation bubble, this journalistic bubble, and forget the human element of it, the social element of it. So thanks very much for coming on, guys. If you've enjoyed it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and remember, you can nominate us for an award at the Football Content Awards in any category you see fit. That would be good to get a nomination. You can find Melissa. It's easy to say the places you can't find Melissa, to be honest. What have you got coming up, Melissa? Where can they find you?
You can find me on Sky Sports, obviously, both written content on there and broadcast stuff. But if you're going to be nice, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. And if you just search my name. I should be quite easy to find.
There you go. There you have it, guys. Take care, guys. We'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.